and welcome to another episode of Mental Health Monday. Hope everybody's having a great day. It's a gorgeous day here weather-wise. And as always, I'll bring up my host, Rhino. What is going on, buddy?
Hey, everybody. Oh, not much. How you doing today, Dan? Hi, everybody.
It's been an interesting day. I think I can feel the full moon coming. Because it's just a weird energy in the air. And there's a full moon in a couple days.
Yeah, I was going to say it's coming up here soon.
And I hope everybody is staying safe tonight if you're in the path of that hurricane about to hit Florida.
Yeah.
That's actually how I knew about the full moon, because that full moon is going to affect the tide as the hurricane hits. So it's not very good timing with the full moon. So everybody pray for Florida that the surge is not very high, because that's what's going to cause the most damage. The flood surge could be at 14 feet in some areas. So positive vibes with them as they go through that in the next few days.
Absolutely. All them Florida people. Holly, if you're well, there's a lot of them down there. I can't even start. Jenny Perkins.
Again,
Capitano Jackie.
I can't find the live stream over on Misfit Islands. Why does it keep hiding it from me?
I don't know.
Did you see it? Did you tag me in it if you see it?
Hold on. Let me go over to it.
It's weird. I can't find it anywhere in the page, but I find upcoming events. I find all my other posts. Then every time I go live, I can't find it over there. But it says we're live. We got 2 people over there. What's going on, Stacy? What's going on, Vicky?
Hi, Vicky. Hi, Stacy.
Hey,
Hi, Lisa. Hi, Terry. Terry, I got the package all ready to go. I just didn't get it in the mail today, but I forgot our small town closed at 11:30.
If anybody is watching from Misfit Island, they could tag my name in the stream so I could find it, because I can't ever find it.
I got you.
I even search my name and look for it in the search bar, and usually it'll find it there, but nothing. It just says, "Oh, there he is. I found it." So I have to search it that way to really find it. There we go. So I gotta mute it now.
Okay, no problem, Terry. Thank you.
There we go. Muted it.
I need to get my computer chair up here. This folding chair just ain't fucking cut.
There we go. Now I think I figured out how to consistently find it now. I think you just have to search it, Dan Baird, and then my Misfit Island, and find it.
Yeah, it takes a couple seconds to get over there too. What was I doing? Tagging and sharing. Hi, Stephanie. Hi, everybody. Welcome. We got a sensitive subject tonight, guys. So grab your tissues and somebody to hug if you need to. You know, we're going to be talking about suicide tonight, and that's a touchy subject. And I'm going to share a little bit of my experience, strength, and hope with that subject, and as well as some of the things that I've experienced with clients that I've had, and just some opinions opinions and stuff that I've learned along the way, and it ought to be pretty interesting. And let's just remember, guys, it's all experiences are heard and validated, and let's be kind and gentle to one another, and especially yourself.
Heck yeah. And the suicide kind of is the reason I actually started a podcast. So last year in about August, I had a friend who reached out to me, and I knew that he was struggling, but I didn't know how bad he was. And then in December of last year, he ended up taking his life. And it really put me to talk more about it, because there's something I could have done differently, maybe talk to him or not. But we all have those people that we know that that we talk to one day, and the next day they end their lives, and it's really, we don't understand why, and and it really then we don't really talk about it as a society, because it's sad, and it's really a dark thing to talk about. I have actually a good friend years ago who refused to talk about suicide with me because it bothered her so much. So there are people out there who won't even talk about it because it just bugs them so much and brings them to a dark place. I'm sorry to hear that, Wayne. Yeah, the service members are definitely, we're losing 21 service members a day to suicide, and that's really hard to fathom, because it's a bigger number than anything else, and it has a lot to do with PTSD, depression that leads to suicide, and that's a really big area in our country that men are suffering, men and women, but especially men in the military are suffering. And we were actually going to discuss that tonight, about how the stats for men, we have kind of the newest stats, and I guess we can bring them up to kind of show how much of an epidemic this is. But let's bring up this video. We can bring up this video first. It's actually a 3-minute video. It's just a news story about how suicide is on the rise, and then I'll start sharing some of the statistics here and play this little short video. And this was, I think, from last year's, 1 year ago, National Suicide Prevention Week. So
now, the epidemic of suicide in our community is not new, but it is getting worse with the stresses and isolation of the pandemic. For National Suicide Prevention Week, we want to highlight all of the resources available and all the things we can do to save lives. But in order to do that, we need to know exactly how big the problem is. So Dr. Joe Barjone with the Louisville Health Advisory and Nancy Brooks with NAMI Louisville are helping by putting it in perspective for us.
It's really important that we look at data. So we know historically, nationally, about 47,000 to 48,000 people die each year by suicide. So for folks here in Louisville, to give you a perspective what that is, if we fill up the Yum Center twice, that's how many people die by suicide in the United States. In Kentucky, to bring it more local, a Kentuckian dies by suicide every 12 hours. So when everybody went to bed last night and when we woke up this morning, one of our friends, colleagues, or loved ones died by suicide.
That's an interesting thing to think about. Think of a stadium, a small NBA stadium full of people. That's how many people commit suicide a year. And if you walked into a stadium like that and saw that many people and then fathomed in your head, that's how many people in the U.S. in their lives. That's a big problem. And then you kind of see how big of a problem it is,
Yeah, and that's just what's recorded.
All demographic.
Right.
But some are hit especially hard. According to NAMI Louisville, suicide is the second leading cause of death in youth in Kentucky, and the pandemic has made it worse. There was a 50% increase in youth hospitalized for suicide attempts between March 2020 and March 2021.
Louisville ranks poorly compared to other cities. And because of that, we know there are some segments of our population where suicide is higher. We see some strong statistics in our youth, and we see some strong statistics in our middle-aged white males, and we even know that they primarily live in southeastern and southwestern Jefferson County. So we have to start focusing as a community in recognizing that these individuals are people we know.
Right? It's always people we know.
That if you or someone you know is struggling, there's always hope and there is help available. So with that said, Dr. Barjone has a job for all of us to do right now.
Please turn on your phone and put the suicide hotline in your contacts, in your phone. Because one of the things you don't want to be caught in a situation where you're having that conversation with a loved one, friend, or a colleague, and you don't have that readily available. So we all put that in that phone number, the 1-800-273-8255 or 8255-TALK. We put that in our phone. So it gives you that resource. Hopefully you'll never need it.
That's a good thing to know.
If you want to become a trained advocate.
But I mean, that shows you that the suicide is an issue in all across America. They were just talking about a specific place in America, but that reciprocates across the whole United States. That there are suicide issues everywhere, and I literally can count 3 or 4 people in my community that committed suicide in the last year that are pretty popular, well-known people. If you remember Twitch from the Ellen DeGeneres show, he committed suicide last year, and that shocked me because that guy was so happy and go-getter and had a beautiful family, and that just shows you.
Yeah, and just goes to show you how much people can hide it. I know my uncle committed suicide when I was, I think about junior or senior in high school. It was my dad's littlest brother. And, it was, I didn't understand it back then. I understood kind of because, I had, just to share a quick experience myself, in high school, before high school, I didn't fit in with anybody. I didn't have a lot of friends. I grew up basically around my dad, and I just felt, kind of alone. So that loneliness we talked about before. And I had a shotgun in my mouth. I had my finger on the trigger, and my dad pulled up in the driveway, and Alive by Pearl Jam came on the radio. And, and sorry about the graphics, guys. I try not to get, too extensive, but, it was in that spot where I didn't think there was another answer, and I wasn't reaching out to anybody. Luckily I didn't have didn't have it in me to pull that trigger that day, and something right there told me not to, and I never tried since, but it's not saying I didn't have the thoughts, but I have people I can reach out to today when I do have them type of thoughts. I have friends and family and spiritual advisors, sponsorship, not like on here, but I mean like in AA. But people I can reach out to, and that's the most important thing, guys. There is a way out. It might not seem like it at the moment. I really know, trust me. But just know that reach out to somebody first, and let them know what's going on there, and there might be something that they can do. And as far as, talking to somebody else, just try to be kind, loving, and supportive, because, that one nice act or that one nice comment or that one smile could be what saves that person's life today. And that person could be someone you know and love.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Thanks for sharing that story, Ross.
You're welcome.
You have to be pretty vulnerable to share, stories about dark times in your life.
And it feels like vulnerable, and it feels weird, but it feels good. It's not a bad weird. I don't have a knot in my stomach. I have that feeling of, like a relief, because I don't talk about it a whole lot, but I do when it's pertinent and purposeful. And tonight it's pertinent and purposeful because I want people to know that they are not alone. Biggest part, they are not alone.
Well, Mark, I'm sorry to hear that. The first thing that actually, to get to help is to actually admit that you need help and not sitting in denial about it and actually being aware of it. And the second step is finding somebody to talk to locally around you, Mark. If you have a friend or somebody who you can physically talk to, that's the best way to, to start healing and dealing with the areas that you struggle with.
And anybody can message me, and I will freely give you my phone number and sit there and talk. I don't care if it's 4 o'clock in the morning, because I remember times at 4 o'clock in the morning where, and I say that, not in a joking way, serious, kind of joking, but I've been there at 4 o'clock in the morning where I wanted to pick up a drink, or I wanted to go jump in front of a truck or something, because there was nobody to call, nobody to talk to. Luckily I had a person I was able to talk to most of the time, but there were times I didn't. So that's why I always extend that. If you guys need my phone number, I won't throw it up broad, but just message me. I'll give you my number. We can talk for sure.
Mark, there's probably 15 people in the comments too that care. There are people who care. We just forget that they do.
Absolutely.
And I was actually going to show this. Start with this stat. This is the in 2021, basically 12.3 million American adults seriously thought about suicide, and 1.7 actually attempted suicide, and only about 48,000 succeeded. So 48,183 people died by suicide in 2021. So, but that tells you how much of a bigger problem it is. To, 12.3 million adults actually think about suicide, and 1.7 actually attempted it. And it's not a very good success rate because, a lot of people who do, attempt suicide they're looking for help. They're looking, they really don't want to do it. And a lot of times it's not done very well, or I'm not going to go into the graphics of that, but when people do commit suicide, a lot of times they do end up in the hospital more times than actually dead. But that just shows you that it's a huge issue more than, because there are a lot of people who survive it and then never really talk about it anymore. But there are a lot of people who do attempt it, and then they become survivors and they do openly talk about it. And I think that's important to have these days.
Absolutely.
And Dawn is one of them. Dawn is somebody who I know locally, and I'm not sure if you're familiar with the group Semicolon. I think that's what it's called.
Yes.
So
our story does not stop here.
Yeah. She lost her son to suicide a couple of years ago, and then started an organization in Quincy to help younger kids in high school deal with that mental health issues and suicide. So she's definitely doing a lot of good things in our area, and the suicide rate has gone down. I think that what she's doing is working. I've noticed locally that a lot of youth are now using different things and going to their guidance counselors to talk about mental health, or instead of just talking about their academics.
Right. And Dawn, you're absolutely right. Those words and the lingo and the verbiage is trying to change all the time. I worked as a certified recovery support specialist for 8 years, and I did part of the trainings, and I was in the background part of that. And it was really neat to watch how they tried to change the verbiage a lot. There's a lady here in Illinois. She's like the ambassador of recovery for mental health. Her name is Nanette Larson, and she's part of the Division of Mental Health. And she, not creative, and she is really big. And she's the one that taught me on person first language. And because when I first met her and we were talking, they asked us to identify ourselves a little bit. I automatically said, hi, I'm Bruce. I'm an alcoholic. She goes, no, you're Bruce. You live with alcoholism. And and that kind of took the stigma away from it. And I learned that. So, using that disorder word and committed, there's a lot of words different that we could use. It's hard sometimes, but yeah, you are very correct.
And then also, this is the newer rates of non-Hispanic American Indian and Alaskan Natives are actually the most that attempt suicide. Sorry, these are actually people who attempted suicide, and this is 28 people per 100,000 populations. So that's what that stat means, and you can see what race has the most and what has the least. So it's interesting to see those stats, and I think obviously the Alaskan Native are probably more tend to attempt suicide because they live in the northern region. It's a lot darker, it's a lot colder. They have longer winters, which can lead to seasonal depression, and I think that's why that stat maybe is high. Yeah.
You're welcome, Dawn. It's a very, very important subject. And Joey, I'm glad you're still here, friend.
But I think that it shows, I'm not saying that one race has a tendency to commit suicide than another, but I think it tends to show lack of resources by some races more than others. I think the African American community definitely has a lot less mental health resources available, more than the white community. And you'll see that when in big cities that have, a big Black community, they lack mental health resources.
And there's also guys that I mentioned earlier, things that are not reported, so to speak. You do have things, unfortunately, like suicidal overdoses and death, suicide by cop, suicide by violence. Getting in acts where that something's going to happen, that it's going to end up in your demise. Unfortunately, there's a lot of times I know as a person in recovery myself from alcoholism and addiction, I was never into needles, but I've been around a lot of people that have, and I counsel a lot of people and went through detox, or seen people go through detox. And just for example, this one guy, he was a vet. He come in, he was an old sniper from Vietnam, and he when he come to from his detox, or from sleep in China, he finally, they brought him from the hospital after he had a medical detox, and he was detoxing from heroin, and he woke up and he says, damn, because he was having a nightmare, and I come in there and help him out, and he says, man, he goes, I thought I was in my bye-bye box. He thought he was in his coffin, because when they found him, he had the needle laying in his arms with his arms crossed, and he had done too much, and a lot of times you don't really get that. And I don't want to put any scare in anybody, but it does happen, guys. People overdose on purpose because, an addict, they know what they're doing most of the time. I'm not saying there's not times where there's bad dope out there or they're messed up and they just don't realize they're taking too much. But 9 times out of 10, 8 times out of 10, that addict knows what they're doing. And they know how much they're taking. And a lot of times, unfortunately, that overdose gets marked as an overdose and not a suicide.
Yeah.
And there's all kinds of things that, that get marked different, but I'm just saying that it's out there, guys. And, awareness is one of the biggest ways to let people know. There's a crisis hotline. I want to share something with you guys real quick.
Sorry to hear that. Creative collectives and Elisa made a lot of people sharing their own stories about family members who've lost the battle as well.
I am so sorry to hear that, guys.
You were speaking of I was just going to mention you were speaking of the people who basically commit suicide or take their own lives by doing drugs. I had a friend who did insulin. He purposely took too much insulin, and he ended up taking his life. But if you take too much insulin, your brain, I believe, it goes into a shock, and you can go unconscious and lose the ability to breathe. It's my understanding.
Yeah.
So there are people who do that as well, and he was diabetic, so I know that he knew what he was doing when he took that much, because diabetic for 12 years usually don't make those kind of errors.
Exactly, and that's along what I was saying. But there is a crisis hotline, guys. You can text or call 988. It's real simple. 988. It's a crisis hotline. You can call or text 988. I'll say that a few times throughout the show.
Yeah, we were talking about that before the show, Lisa May. There are also a lot of it's basically suicide by cop going on, these violent shootings. These people are suicidal as well, but they tend to go out in a mass shooting, and that's an issue we see. And today there was another mass shooting. I mean, we have school starting up, and we're gonna see every week another mass shooting happen at a school. And this one was at a college. It was at UNC. Luckily, only one person was killed, but these people they're suicidal, and they tend to turn towards violence at the last few days of their life, because they want to go out that way, and their brains they're kind of sick. You become, succumb to that kind of darkness. You tend to sometimes turn violent as well. And I think we see that going on in America too, with the amount of mass shootings we see every week, especially when school starts up.
Dan, are you able to pin my comment?
What's that?
Sorry.
What's that?
Are you able to pin my comment? Or do you even see it?
I didn't see your comment.
Okay, sorry about that. I didn't mean to interrupt.
I don't see your comment out there. Did you put it in the comments?
No, I didn't.
I don't know what the star button does, but
that just stars it. That's fine too.
But I was actually going to show, this was the biggest surprise of all, that I'm losing a little bit of internet. Hopefully it doesn't go off. But if you see here, males, we had about 48,000 suicides in America. And of that, 38,000 of them, 39,000 of them were men, and 10,000 of them were women. So now we have four many men are committing suicide as women. And important that men, openly more talk about it, because that rate is increasing. The separation between men and women is now increasing. Because these are the latest stats. These are 2022, so these are pretty new statistics. So if you have, it's important for men to talk about this, even more now, because we can't allow men to keep that rate to keep increasing. And I don't really know what's pushing it. I don't know why the men's suicide rate is going up so much more than the women's. Although, if you look at that right there, you can see the percent change of female has gone up 3.8% compared to 2.3% change of male. So it has increased a little bit more with females. But yeah, you're right, Creative. There's no outlets for men, and it's weird. We live in a society where I literally called mental health facility a couple of years ago, and I asked them to get an appointment that I was suicidal, and they told me that they could get me in 3 months. And 3 months time, like what's that going to do for me? And I even argued with them, and that was so silly. And then they told me to go to the ER if I was suicidal, but the ER doesn't have people in it all the time for people to deal with those kind of issues. But if that goes on in my community, I imagine that.
A lot of times they do have, most emergency rooms do have crisis workers that they'll call a facility and get them in there, just to let people know that.
It's true, but I'm like, smaller cities sometimes don't have them, but I know the bigger hospitals tend to have them.
Absolutely.
But I just thought it was sad that I literally call a place that's mental health, and that issue is across America. We lack mental health resources, and it shows. I mean, we have the highest suicide rate among all first world countries.
That and
because we lack the resources to help people.
Insurance is a big thing too.
Cost.
You go into, like my uncle David, he went into a rehab down in St. Elizabeth in Belleville, Illinois. He went in there asking for help. He had a bill. They turned you down. He walked out back, jumped off the parking garage. That's that window, guys. You got to think about that. That's what I mean about, one smile or one kind act, or one, just random nice phrase to someone. Hey, have a nice day. Could save their life. Because that person might think there's nobody that cares, nobody sees them, nobody has any knowledge of them in the world, they're alone. And just that nice hello could be that what saves them.
For sure.
And I think, Dan, there's a lot of disconnectivity, ever since I meant to look up the stats and I forgot to, because I got busy working around the house. But excuse me, there's I wonder what the stats and the suicide stats, how much they increased since COVID. I know they have increased, I just don't know how much. But there was a lot of isolation. There was a lot of people that wasn't ready for that. Hi Mikey, hi Johnny.
Why is my internet struggling to keep up? Jeez. Yeah, it's all that. This is another stat too. You can see here, this is the age groups, and the highest age group is 25 to 44, but we saw an 8% decrease among 10 to 24-year-old age group between 2021 and 2022. So that's a big drop, and that's promising at least. But we did see an 8% increase among 65 and older. So older people are becoming more isolated. That rate has gone up a lot. And I honestly don't know any older people that have taken their own life myself, but I'm sure there are people out there who have. And it's kind of sad the way we kind of treat people at the end of their life, and we isolate them and leave them in nursing homes, and then no family members visit them, and they're just stuck in there by themselves. And there are better ways to deal with the aging population than the ways we do.
No, I've never shared this with anybody. If I get emotional, it's because it's rough. There's suspicions that my dad took his own life because he was a very, very strong man.
It's all right.
There towards the end, he wasn't so strong, and he knew it, and he didn't want anybody to see him that way. And there's no proof, but my dad did like to party, did like the drugs. I did not get a toxicology report because I did not want to know. He told me before that if I got to a point where he couldn't fend for himself, or that was to the point where I was going down there during the week, coming home on the weekends for the last 6 months of his life, which I'm very grateful for. I learned a lot about my dad during them 6 months, but he left me a note that said, "I won, boy, but I had to go." And there wasn't nothing around it or nothing, just a bunch of others scratched, this and that. So it just leads me to believe that he was ready, and that's what he wanted. Thanks for letting me share that. It was hard, but it's something I had to get out because that's part of the healing process, guys. Talking about that vulnerability, it opens them wounds and allows that healing process to start. And thank you for being here for me.
Yeah, I can feel your pain, man. I totally understand. Yeah, a lot of men are stubborn.
I brought my tissues too.
Yeah, a lot of men are stubborn, and I still hear it among the older generation about sharing emotions. And
yeah, he was 68, so he was one of them old timers, I like to call them.
Yeah.
Thank you, Creative. Thank you, guys.
Hey, what's going on, Leslie? You're not late. You're not just on time.
Hey, Leslie, what's up, brother? Hi, Ashley.
Thanks for joining us, Janie. I think I'm pronouncing that name right. Janie?
Janie like Danny. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've understood that too, Ashley, about the talking part, and the podcast has definitely helped me heal as well.
That's why we're here, guys.
I got to blow my nose a little bit too.
Yeah. It's okay to not be okay sometimes, I'm okay.
I mean, I know what it feels like to be in there, because I was in a dark place in 2019. And at one point, I'll probably share that picture. One night, the night that I ended up, the night before I got diagnosed with bipolar, I took a picture of myself and I looked like shit. And I remember thinking, I was like, well, I'm going to take a picture, and, someday, when I survive this, in 4 to 5 years, I'll compare the pictures and you can see a difference. That was the worst of your mental health. My body it looked like shit. And I feel like 3 years later, I've kind of aged. I've backwards. I found the fountain of youth. And the fountain of youth was just trying to find peace in your life. That really was all it was. Once you find that, then your body does respond.
Hey, thanks, Junior. Appreciate it, buddy. Or JR. I don't know if it's Junior or JR. First one or second one, Junior or JR?
So yeah, sharing your story definitely helps, Rasta, and appreciate your vulnerability, man.
Yeah, Timothy, sorry to hear that, man. I hope your sister's okay from that. You as well.
Benjamin Button.
And guys, that's, when I said I was a counselor, I got certified in the things that I had lived experience in, because of, I thought that's the best way to help somebody else, is teach them how to get through what they're going through.
Yeah, the body responds, the brain responds to vulnerability. When you're vulnerable, it definitely helps with healing.
Oh, for sure. And and that I got away from that for a couple years. When he passed, I just kind of clammed up and climbed inside my own self. And, I wasn't drinking, but I wasn't sober. I mean, in the sense of it, mentally.
Yeah.
I was just a dry drunk. But I'm getting my recovery sense about me now. And since when working with Dan, and since working on myself, I'm responsible for my own recovery, and I'm back in part of my recovery. Back in being part of my recovery, which is very important.
Sure. So what are you smoking on over there?
I have Pall Mall Red, but I have Blood Temple Kush by SoFim.
It's probably a good time to take a little smoke break, and we'll do a little mental health news today. But we got 18 people in here, 19 reactions. Hit those reaction buttons, and I totally forgot I have a new overlay that I have, and I have a website now with Great River Mushrooms. So Great River Mushrooms is kind of going to be our sponsor for the show. So I was going to put this up and kind of introduce it, and I got to find it again.
Thank you, Michelle.
And there we go. But that's pretty cool. Besides, we can't see the Rumination Project's name, but but we now have a website, greatrivermushrooms.com, and I believe every podcast, and I didn't do it this one, and I will. We should put the hashtag up because we got still a while. But we're going to do 25% off anything that I sell on my website. And I sell some good stuff, some products of mushrooms, some lion's mane, some CBD, CBG. So we'll do a hashtag with that, and we'll do a 25% off Great River Mushrooms.
So now when you guys, excuse me. So now when you guys say, hey, how do I get some of that lion's mane or CBD, CBG? We can say, hey, go to that website. There's the website. Guy's on fire, man. He's trucking right along.
I almost need a break.
That's right, Leslie. And growing is my therapy, yes. God, it helps me. I made a notice that I kind of like going outside and checking on my plants. I don't like when I get out there and looking at some bitches because they're all spider mite ridden.
Yeah.
The spider mite pack or the crew. But I'll get something out of it.
I need to. How come I struggle to find the giveaway tool sometimes? I can't never. There it is. My Lord, I need to put it up here and just paste it on my front of my forehead, because sometimes it just disappears.
I wonder. I'm gonna look at my giveaway tools, see if I can. I'm not gonna do it. You go ahead, but. Yeah, I can use mine too if you ever need me to. I got mine bookmarked and it's always right there. So
there we go. Share the screen here. And there's our giveaway.
No,
this is going to be on my YouTube channel. Let me get a banner down there to say the giveaway, what the giveaway is. This is going to be 25% off to greatrivermushrooms.com. If you want to go to the website and check it out, and it is about 70% done. So if you see any errors or something missing, I'm still working on it, but all the products are on there and all the prices. And I'm introduced. This is something I'm introducing, so it'll be very helpful in the future. So if you are interested in buying some products, because it's 25% off. So you can get some good lion's mane or save some money on some CBD, CBG. And the farmer's market this week kind of sucked. It rained the whole time I was there, but I did get four new people that had never taken lion's mane to purchase it. So in my mind, it was well worth it, because that's four new people who can find holistic medicine now, holistic relief, and actually see that it actually works.
That's awesome. And you know, that's what I love about you, Dan. Not one time in that whole sentence did you mention money. You know, you said because it was to help people learn holistic medicine. That's awesome.
I love hearing the comments more when people come up to me the next week and they're like, "Wow, this stuff really works," or "Wow, this stuff is really changing my life." And those are the comments that are worth way more than any amount of money.
Hell yeah.
That's when you find, purpose in life. That's when you're proud of what you do, and it goes beyond making money then. And that's where you find joy in what you do. Otherwise, it's just the boring same old every day. And, sometimes that gets boring. What's going on, Kim? How you doing?
Hi, Kim.
I'm smoking some Pauhu over here myself.
No, you didn't miss. We're still here. Same here, Danny.
Yeah, our podcasts are always on replay too. So even if you come in late, you can always come in and watch it. But no, Kim, we still have another hour or so.
Danny, so about I moved up the area I live in 2002 because I was running, running from everything. But I learned that everywhere I go, there I am. And recovery helped me a lot in getting out of that black road. I work the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. I don't preach AA. I do think that the 12 steps are a wonderful guide of living a good Christian life. Even though they say AA is not religious, there's God all over the place. That's kind of one of the things I argue with about them. But I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying they're a little bit in denial about it. But it's the 12 steps, it gives you a lot of spiritual principles to live by, and just different things you can do to learn about yourself. And it talks about and this is getting off the 12 steps, but one thing it does is talk about doing that personal house cleaning, getting into your past, which is kind of what I'm going to be doing with the mushrooms and helping with my mental health. I tried a little bit of it a couple weekends ago, and I had got phenomenal results. That started the healing process with my dad, and and it's continuing. So I can't wait to where I can get start being able to take it on a regular basis, microdosing, and starting to heal a lot more, because that's part of being responsible and active in my own recovery. It keeps me away from that them suicidal ideations and them thoughts. Don't get me wrong, with mental health there might always be them silly thoughts. I just don't entertain them anymore. And they're really short-lived. I ain't had them in a while, so that's a good thing. But it's funny, I was getting ready to say that Leslie mentioned a journal. One of the things I want to start doing that helped me before is journaling. Because I used to meditate and then I journal. I'm meditating now, but I'm not journaling yet. So just slowly getting things adding back into my recovery. So I used to have a really strong recovery program. It was well known in my community in about 3 different counties, because that's what I did. Is I helped people get sober and recover from mental health. Real cool. Go ahead.
This is the website. We're giving away 25% off to all my products, and you can see here. You go to the shop, and then I have a lot of different stuff. You can go by category here. I have So there's some of the categories don't have anything in it yet, but I will be adding mushroom apparel, decor, herbal medicine, gourmet mushrooms, grow kits, cultivation substrates, mushroom soups, petri dishes, grain jars, CO2 producing products, and also I'm adding infused oils and honey. If you didn't know, I also make a lot of infused coconut oils and honeys. So I'm going to make some honeys as well. So you'll be able to get some.
You didn't tell me that.
And I haven't made any yet for a while. I actually used to infuse a lot of honey with cannabis, and I just haven't done it in a while. But that's really powerful stuff to take in the morning. And post a link to my website. It's actually pretty easy to remember. It's greatrivermushrooms.com. So you just enter my company name, and you should find it. But I can enter it in here. I'll just go to all. There we go. Oh, it actually went out as you. Oh, never mind. It was doing your sites too. There we go. Now the link is on every single.
Yeah, when one of us types, it puts all of us up.
Well, I know. I purposely did it because I didn't know where he was at typing from. But we got 8 people from Misfit Islands and 2 from Rumination Projects, 2 over on your page and 1 on mine. But as always, thanks for joining us tonight. Hit those likes and reaction buttons as well.
I ain't got nobody on my YouTube.
But you can see here, I got lion's mane capsules. I can even ship shiitakes. I feel pretty confident now about being able to ship the actual shiitake mushrooms because they do store very well for a long period of time. They seem to do very well in normal temperatures, normal room temperatures. So I think that I can ship it. So that's the only mushroom I will ship is the shiitake. I won't ship any of my other ones because they're just too sensitive to shipping. But I also have the mushroom grow kits. I can ship these. And these grow 2 to 3 pounds of mushrooms over 2 to 3 flushes. I do sell straight CBD capsules or CBG capsules, or I do sell the mix of them. So there's a mixture. And then there's my.
I like the mix because they give you both properties and both medical properties to them.
And there's the infused coconut, which I was giving away on a couple episodes, but you can see it's 385 milligrams. And this stuff's really potent. I mean, you make edibles with this, you're gonna eat one half a cookie because that's how strong it's gonna be. So I've actually made them. If you make them into edibles, the edibles will last you weeks unless you're sharing with somebody.
Does that $12 include shipping?
No, I think that one's $5 a ship.
Okay.
And when you check out, you can add the shipping in there.
Yeah, that's fine. I was just curious.
Which isn't bad. $17 for some pretty potent infused coconut oil shipped to your house isn't too bad.
Hi, Rose.
And then I don't have the infused honey on here yet, but it will eventually be. But I also like. Go ahead.
Oh, I'll just read this. Is coconut oil only good to cook with, or can you use it in hair and body? You can use it for both. It's already been activated. So I decarb it and then I run it through a machine. So it's good for skin or body, or skin or to eat. So, and I've given it to both people, and a lot of people found relief over fibromyalgia. Somebody said they used it for skin issues, some other skin issues, and it works really well. But most of the people who bought it for skin issues had fibromyalgia, and they said it worked pretty well. Nice.
But this just shows a little bit about we're veteran owned and our promise. And then I like this especially. Well, it's not on here. What happened to the reviews? They're gone. There they are. Take a minute to pop up. Although one of them has nothing to do with my website, but he apparently decided to put a review on my Facebook.
Who did?
I don't know. Some random guy he was talking about tech. He gave me a 5-star review, but Facebook doesn't allow you to remove reviews. So even if it's a review that has nothing to do about your site, sit by random spam.
Hey, at least it's 5 stars.
Yeah. But yeah, I love it, the fact that you can go on here and the reviews are right here. And I hope to get more reviews as well. So
Leslie said he thought you was cute.
We also have our podcasts on here. We have our mission statement. And then I also have each of our podcasts and links. And then I'm going to have more information about classes for adults, mushroom classes for adults, and mushroom classes for children. So you'll have to check that out as time goes on when I start teaching more classes, because I've already taught a few of them. And it's something I want to continue doing. And because I get a lot of people asking me, like, when are you going to teach that next mushroom class? Mushroom classes. It's been a while. But I'm hoping to set up at a local college in my town. We have opportunities with non-credit courses where you use their classrooms and they recruit the people to come to your class, and then you get like a portion of the fee that they charge. So it allows people to teach classes who typically aren't teachers. Are you muted, Rasta? Ah.
I wonder how long that's been muted.
Just for a minute. I just thought I was in the room alone. Nobody was talking.
I was talking. I was talking plenty.
We got the Joker's Lounge in here. That's a place actually where I had one of my classes at. It's a local bar night or place to go, and it's like a place that specializes in board games. They have every board game you ever wanted to play. But we taught a mushroom class there at it, and it was pretty cool.
Oh yeah. Now let me get my car running good, and I'll come over. We'll do a podcast out of
there. Yeah, they actually have somebody else who does a podcast out of there too. He can't remember what the podcast but they talk about a lot of random stuff. So they must have good internet there to run another podcast. So I told them I'd love to do a live at location one sometime.
Now, Dan, can I ask you a question? If you take that coconut oil and you put it in the refrigerator, will it solidify a little bit more like a salve or a cream than just the oil?
Yeah, it only has to go about under 78 degrees. It'll turn into a solid. I think that's the melting point of it.
And that way, because I have a friend of mine that she makes a can of salve, and it's great for my hands and arthritis and stuff like that. My wife uses it too, but if you put it in the fridge, it'll solidify. Because when she mailed it to me, it coming through the mail and ended up getting liquefied. I put it in the fridge for a couple hours, then I can keep it room temperature and it stays solid unless it gets warm, too hot.
I don't have spore syringes yet, but that's something I look to offer in the future. It'll probably be next year though, when I get more into spore syringes. I have to get more equipment, and I have to do a lot more research because I'm a perfectionist, so I like to make sure everything's good before I start selling it. And I don't really mess around with a lot of spore syringes because I do a lot of cloning. I do a lot of transfers where I don't have to do spore syringes.
Awesome, Josh. You mean you're talking about that can of oil, Dan's? He said he rubbed it on his hip. Because I know I started to laugh and then I read on it. It was serious. After a 52-mile bike ride, 2 days. Seemed to help. Yeah, that's awesome.
And the great thing is, if you put it on your skin, there's no psychoactive effects. So a lot of people think if you put it on your skin, you're going to get high, but there is no, unless you eat it and process it through your liver, there is no psychoactive effect. But it's good for other problems because the endocannabinoid system is throughout your whole body. So when you rub that lotion into any part of your body, it works in unison with the cannabinoid system in that area. And that's why it works so effectively too. In fact, I was telling you the other day that apparently that the vagina has more endocannabinoid system nerves than any other part of the body, and it's really bizarre that there is. But
well,
I don't think science has explained why there is yet. But
well, it's a very sensitive area. I'm sure that'd be why. You know, kind of like your lips or, you know, certain spots on your penis, you know, even that.
Yeah.
That's why they make candy creams that are good lubes.
They also make suppositories for women for when they're on, you know, when it's their time of the month. They don't sell a lot of them in Illinois, but I know in Cali they do have a lot of those products.
Yeah,
They
that
do
friend
work.
of mine-
I know that people who take them, but they don't work for everybody, but they do work for some people
Right.
to deal with menstrual cramps and stuff like that. But they'll have more products as time goes on. I think we'll discover more about the endocannabinoid system because I think we're kind of on the new frontier.
Josh says if I rode 52 miles, I'd have shoved it up my ass.
Hey, I do sell suppositories. I don't have that on my website, but I have made them before. I experimented with them and I gave them out for free to some women who wanted to volunteer. And I learned a lot. One of them actually said she had it helps mildly, but probably not enough because it's really messy.
Yeah.
When you put a coconut oil capsule inside your, you know.
I'll bet.
But I do have molds. It's actually a mold machine. You actually dump the coconut oil in, and it makes the pellet that you actually put in the suppository or depository.
Right.
Whether you're sticking it in your butt or the other way.
Right. Trying to get back to there we go.
But we kind of got off topic, but to kind of lighten the mood up because suicide is kind of it's hard to stay there and talk about it for a while without getting really sad.
Sure, absolutely.
And I guess it's the first time I showed my website, so there are a lot of questions about that, so I kind of understand. www.greatrivermushrooms.com.
Right on, Jenny. Congratulations. One day
It's almost like it was meant to be that the website was available, but I guess there's not a lot of mushroom companies out there.
I am a volunteer.
Oh, gee.
Same here, Josh. Just 3 months ago, I think. I've got 2 bottles so far. So about 3 months ago, I'm on my 2nd bottle of Lion's Mane, and ready to get another one here in a couple days probably. Wait till the 1st, so I can get some. I'm good on the CBD for now. You said those usually last 2 months, though, don't they?
Yeah, you just take as needed because the body kind of stores it, and when it kind of consumes it as needed, so you can skip a day here and there and be okay.
Right.
Suppository magic mushrooms. They are making those, so don't be surprised if in a couple of years those are on the market. Because it's actually a very good way to absorb it because it absorbs it into the body so quickly there.
Seeing rainbows or seeing unicorns and shit in rainbows.
Good heartburn acid releaser is actually baking soda. That's actually a good. I use it sometimes when I have an emergency acid issue because I have acid reflux kind of, but it goes away and comes. I only deal with it here and there. But the Prilosec OTC is really safe to use as well. That if you use that for 3 weeks, it's supposed to take care of heartburn for an extended period of time, and you don't have to use it that often. But baking soda is probably the safest way to get rid of acid. A little baking soda inside of your water, and then drink it, and you'll feel a lot better in 5 minutes later.
White vinegar. I never heard that one, Rose. I like that. Do you mix it in water? I hope you dilute it.
It's a strong taste. At least the baking soda, you don't really have a taste, but vinegar has, very strong
Baking
taste.
soda you mix in water, don't you? You put it like a teaspoon in a glass of
but
water.
not even that much. I usually just sprinkle it on top and then mix it. That's enough.
Yeah, I have
baking
acid
soda
reflux
and a
too.
quarter of milk. Huh?
See, the milk would get me. I can drink milk a little bit, but like if I drink or eat a bowl of cereal, I'll drink some of the milk because I gotta have milk. I get my vitamin D, but I don't drink it regularly. Sometimes I'll have.
What's going on, Sir Steve-O?
Hey, Steve-O.
Hit those reactions.
Certified.
Yeah, we got 21 people in here. Thanks for joining, everybody. Are we talking about TB? TB, I don't drink. What's TB stand for?
No, drink a TB or two.
For all ginger root? Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff for acid reflux.
Oh, nice. Right on. Thank you, Steve-O.
We got certified.
We got stamps, but not mushroom stamps. Certified.
Steve, we got
his mushroom penny today. Glad you like it, Steve-O. Sir Steve-O.
We got that website there, Steve-O. You can check that out too. I got a little more stuff on. Anybody else wants to check it out and tell me how it looks? I don't have everything completed on it, but
Josh had a little party this weekend. He has a like a ceremonial type of party where he builds a structure of an animal. This year was a dragonfly. And he burns it. That's about the gist of it. I don't know the whole. There's more to it than that. But he rode home Saturday night on some shrooms. And the 20-minute ride, he said it took him to an hour.
oh, jeez.
Oh, tablespoon. Okay, thanks, Rose. Oh, wow. Suicide over the last 20 years. Yeah, I've had a lot of friends that, unfortunately went that way. That's what I need to get as a nutritionist, and I got been talking with Ashley Huffman a little bit, just kind of get some tips and stuff like that for now. Kind of interested in them towers she's got, but I'm gonna have to wait on that a little bit.
Well, I was gonna do a little mental health Monday news, and as we know, I like to share stuff in the news about celebrities or anybody who we talk about, or Olympians, athletes who talk about mental health.
Your headline.
What's that?
Your intro.
Yeah, I was gonna play that.
Oh, okay. I didn't know. Last time you forgot. I wanted to make sure you remind you.
Play this intro, and then we'll talk about this week's subject. And this week, we're actually going to talk about Michael Phelps. And this is actually kind of an older story. It's 1 year old, but he openly really talked about suicide, and he really opened up about his mental health. And it showed that even people who are star athletes who have a really good life, that we think have a really good life, struggle with mental illness and struggle with suicidal ideation. So I think this one's a really good, important subject to talk about, and we'll hear a 3-minute story of Michael Phelps opening up about his mental health.
You showed a lot of courage to speak about mental health and talk
Glad
about
you're here,
things
bro.
that you've dealt with in life. What finally gave you that courage and wanted you to talk about it and share it? Because we all deal with it. I think it's just a lot of times, people don't talk about it.
It's crazy. I go back and it was 2014, Sports Illustrated cover story with Tim Layden, and we're having an interview here in Phoenix, and whatever question he asked me just opened me up, dropped my shoulders, and I just let it all out. I was just ready to.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, when I checked myself in to get treatment and to get help, I knew that that's what I needed, and I was at the end of the road, and I had to get help. I was at a scary place in time, and for a long time, I didn't know how to ask for help. I think once I asked help for the first time, everything became easy. So that question that he asked me, whatever it was, it just opened me up, and I felt comfortable to share everything that I'd been through. Because it was almost like I said to myself, I don't care what people think. This is me, and this is my journey, and it makes me who I am. So, the only way for me to learn and grow and to get over certain things that I've gone through is to communicate and to talk about it. And look, I'm not perfect, right? Like nobody's perfect. And I struggled a lot through my life. My first depression spell was in 2004. And I went up and down roller coasters all throughout life.
Like we all do. And I think the coolest part about it is not that you do it for that reason at all, because you're doing it for yourself, but you just speaking about it, it just gave so many other people a lot more courage, not just athletes, just people in general. Why do you think so many people are having a hard time admitting to grappling with like these mental issues? And
sorry you had to go through that, Josh.
I think it's vulnerability. I think vulnerability is a scary word for a lot of people.
Yeah.
There's that word, vulnerability.
Scary word for me. You know, I remember when I checked into a treatment center, I was shaking when I went in there because I didn't know what I'm getting myself into, but I wanted help. I didn't like feeling the way that I did. So what else is out there? Start asking questions. And look, you know, for me as a male athlete, I thought like I couldn't talk about it.
right, like you're
giving away weaknesses. Yeah,
right,
like you're giving away something to your competitors.
Really
and you know, that's hard to do when you're in this field of battle. So, you know, my approach now is if we're physically strong and mentally strong, oh, wow. You put those things together,
yeah,
we're unstoppable.
Unstoppable.
He makes a good point there about the vulnerability, and then the fact, the part of being vulnerable and the fact that how much it opened him up when somebody asked the right questions. And after he, you know, first initially was vulnerable, how he found healing after that. I think that shows how much just talking about it is one of the most powerful things to healing, is just to talk about it, and your brain, you know, reacts to it in a very strong way many times. And a lot of people just don't know that. So, and then the second thing was how he said about how he didn't think that among athletes, you know, they should talk about mental health because he says it makes him seem weak to his competitor. And I've never, you know, heard that kind of perspective, because that is an interesting perspective, because he's correct. You know, like if you may think your opponent's weak if he has, you know, mental health issues, but he is right. When you have your mental health, your physical body together, you're stronger than you could ever be. And I liked his points he made.
Absolutely. That vulnerability, we talk about that all the time, and it's a very important part of recovery. Because without, you know, getting to the crux of it, you know, you can't let that out, or it stays bottled up, you know, and it'll eat you up inside, from the inside out, you know. And touching on what Leslie just said, you know, behind the mask is where shit went wrong for me. Same here, you know, I put that mask of my alcoholic mask on for years because I didn't want to feel the way I was feeling. You know, I was putting that mask on to get away from that. Unfortunately, it was just a mask, and it was just covering up something and stuffing it down inside. You know, and it's meant like Jeremy was talking there. You know, Jeremy Phelps was talking. You know, as men too. You know, we have this persona we're supposed to hold, you know, as the strong guy. You know, hell, it took me years, you know, about 4 years in recovery to be able to sit like this. I always thought men had to sit like this, you know, and simple little things like that, and you know, that conditioned us with that Neanderthal thinking is what creates a lot of stigma for men. And I think that's a lot of why that level or that statistics increased. You know, and not only as men, what Jeremy was a big person and a celebrity, and that's hard too. Go ahead, sorry.
I said it's important to, like, people like Michael Phelps talk about it. I feel like the Olympic is now it's changing with athletes. Now they're more open to talking about mental health actually at the Olympics. You saw what happened with the gymnast in 2020 when she left. She actually left the Olympics because she had a mental block. Why can't I think of her name right now? Simone Biles. And, you know, it's really important that these athletes talk about it, because it opens up. We see these people who we think are very strong, competitive people are vulnerable as well. And Michael Phelps is a big guy. He's like 6'3", fastest swimmer in the world. You know, you think he would have a very strong mental game, but he struggles as well. And it's awesome to have him openly talk about it.
Absolutely. You know, before I had my started my nonprofit, I had some training and some experience in another one. And Sacred Creations was the name of it. It was around a while back in Illinois. But we were doing a benefit one time, and we had Demi Lovato. She was on her way. Actually, it was a bad storm, snowstorm, an ice storm over in St. Louis area. It came over to Illinois. It was bad that year. But anyway, she was on her way, but she got held up by the ice, so she wasn't able to make it to the speech. But she was going to come in and tell her story, and she talks openly about her recovery with mental health and experiences with suicide and addiction and all that. So there's, you know, that's a good thing when these people in that position open up and they're vulnerable, kind of like Dan and I are. Not that we're celebrities, but you know, we are people in the community that people know now. You know, and when people like that open up, it lets people know, hey, fuck, if they can do it, man, I can do it too. Right on. You know, and that's what our biggest, you know, one of our biggest messages is, guys, with mental health is you're not alone. You know, and being vulnerable, we're here to hear it. You know, we'll open our ears up and you can talk to us. Thank you guys for sharing all your experience, strength and hope. Josh, you know, that I'm sure that is, you know, that's got to be rough. You know, I know guns are touchy subjects, you know, especially when it comes to suicide. Of course, it's not the gun's fault, but everybody wants to blame it on the gun. But, you know, still that's having them iconic pieces around like that, you know, it's gotta weigh heavy, man. Prayers are with you all. Misty here, her twins usually follow behind pretty soon. Man, is it Mandy? I can't remember what your sister's name. I'm just meeting you guys, kinda.
But I actually said tonight that I was going to share the picture of one of the nights, the night before I was diagnosed with bipolar, because I actually shared it publicly on my Facebook. I had a whole post June 1st, 2022, and I actually talked about suicide. It was a long post about actually how I attempted suicide at 16 and was, you know, scared that I was going to do it again. So I took the picture that night to remind myself of now where I am and where I haven't had any suicidal ideations besides here and there. It kind of enters my mind, but not like anything like I lived most of my life.
But if you're like, you know, like I was saying earlier, I don't know if it's true for you, but for me, I don't entertain them thoughts like I used to.
You can see it right there. There's the picture. That's the picture I took that night. And yeah. It's really weird to see in perspective now. This was 4 years ago, and I see a lost guy there. I
do too. You know, I see so much life in you today, Dan. You know, glad I met you, brother.
Yeah, it makes me tear up because I know how far I came, not because of the picture, because I just, you know, come a really long way since that picture was taken.
Yeah, and you know, that's tears of joy. He is, Josh.
And actually, there's a whole post here. If you go look on it, my Facebook, and but I talked about.
Is that on your Dan Baird page?
Yeah. Once in a while, about twice a year, I do post a pretty vulnerable post, and this was definitely one of them because it actually took me days, you know, to want to post this because you have to be, you know, really vulnerable to share a picture like that. And I kind of laugh and half cry now because it is a very vulnerable picture.
I get it. I do, buddy. Glad we're in it together, brother.
And I said in the post here, you can see it. It says, "I see a lost, lonely, ashamed, angry, bitter, full of guilt man who just wanted to die." That's basically, you know, what I felt that night. Yeah, I still feel it. You know, I'm bipolar, so I'm very attached to emotions, even emotions that happened 4 years ago. So I still feel how I felt that night.
Oh, yeah, I can totally relate. I know what you mean. Yeah, they're, and it's part of that trauma, them. It's like trauma, I should say. A healing experience is just as memorable as a traumatic experience, and it can be very, very lasting and very emotional, just like a traumatic experience can.
And this was actually what happened. How I got diagnosed with bipolar is I actually herniated my disc in my back, and I wasn't sleeping but 1 hour a night for like 2 weeks. So I all these symptoms of bipolar that I had in my life kind of went crazy. The symptoms just went out of control, and what were small symptoms my whole life basically progressed. I saw the bipolar issues before I even went to the doctor. I'm like, I clearly see what I have. I mean, I'm bipolar, and but I didn't sleep. Not that not sleeping. This is the picture of me not sleeping for probably 2 weeks because I herniated my back and I couldn't find any comfortable place to sleep. I had to lay on the floor and I'd fall asleep for maybe 1 hour a night, sleeping straight on my back on the hardwood floor,
And go ahead.
I basically there was a situation that happened in my life this night. I remember it was a Thursday night, and I just wanted to, to end my life over one situation. And that's usually what happens is something bad happens and we think it's the end of the world, and a small situation can end somebody's life.
And and I heard a guy tell me one time, when we're in it, we don't see it. And that it's very true. We don't. Sometimes we're in the midst of that mental health situation, or having them suicidal ADs. We don't see the clarity or the way out or whatever, because we're deep in that spot. That's why it's important. For me, I was seeing a therapist for a long time. It's something I need to get back into doing too. I'd like to do something a little different than a therapist. I'd like to get a spiritual advisor or what do you call that? Reiki, something like that. Something that I could, that's more holistic than, because a lot of I won't even get in there because that's going to sound grandiose. But, I will say it's a lot of the counselors these days are young, and a lot of them haven't been through addictions, and I hate to say it, but I know a lot more than they do just by lived experience, so
right.
It's for me to talk to someone like that. So I need to find someone with a little bit more experience behind their belt, and it's a good Reiki or a spiritual advisor or something like that, to kind of guide me along my spiritual journey.
Sure. How do I get out of
that complacency grows? Yep. Excuse me. Great river mushrooms. I didn't even get in that.
Also, speaking of other athletes, we could just play this real quick. These are 5 other celebrities who talk about mental illness as well as suicide as well. I think I had it up here, and it's actually pretty interesting. I didn't know a lot of these celebrities dealt with some.
And while he's putting that up, guys, another time I want to say is that hotline is 988 crisis or call or text hotline 988.
I've had heightened anxiety and mild panic attacks at the playground with my own children and wife there, and the feeling was so gripping, so terrifying that I literally had to leave and excuse myself.
Every month should be Mental Health Awareness Month, that's for sure.
I know. September's National Recovery Month.
This is kind of the downside of the way God made me, and there's a tremendous upside as well.
I now have not stopped talking about it, mainly because I want people to hear that it's not a big deal and that you can be happy and healthy and no one can make you feel inferior without your consent.
I can tell you I've probably had at least half a dozen depression spells that I've gone through. And the one in 2014, I didn't want to be alive.
Not the first time I've heard that. I've been called Jason Statham before, so.
That picture looked more like the movie Crank. They're actually, that's available in a lot of places, Diane.
There's the suicide prevention lifeline too. But now that you said there's another.
Yeah, NAMI, National Alliance for Mental Health. I have a little llama, stuffed llama. It's a NAMI llama.
Oh, Nami Lami.
A NAMI llama. Yeah.
But yeah, everybody
I'm
struggles.
part of all those. It was fun. I learned a lot, being able to, and that's, what I was thinking, Dan, earlier, guys, just share a little bit of me in this conversation. I was telling that I used to do a lot of work in the 3 counties area where I live, Christian County, Macon County, and Sangamon County. And even all across Illinois, getting people in rehabs and helping them with mental health facilities and stuff like that, getting them crisis detox. But I got out of it because I'm the type of person when I'm going to do it, it's all or nothing, and I was, I'm trying to get out of that attitude, but I busted my ass and I helped a lot of people, but I was getting to the point where I wasn't putting the oxygen mask on myself. I was too busy helping other people, not working on myself as much. I was my addictions, my recovery, but not my mental health recovery. And it started getting to me, and I ended up getting burnt out. Not like, burnt out, man, dude. No, I was like just burnt out. I didn't like the job much anymore. I was getting started finding things wrong with everything. When you start finding things wrong with everything, you might want to take a look at things, because I like to look at the similarities, not the differences. But I got in this spot to where I just didn't want to do it anymore. Whether it be the insurance, not allowing us counselors and stuff to do our job. We had to jump through too many hoops and this and that. It got discouraging. Then I tried a nonprofit, that didn't work out. So, and then like I said, my dad was my last client, and then I just kind of went downhill from there and just got into my hole. But, this talking about it and working with Dan and you guys being vulnerable. And I've helped a couple people in the community already, just talking to them, here and there, and we're pointing them in the right direction even. And that's got me out of my shell again. It's got me to where I want to go back to that love and service dedication that I started when I first got sober. So, thank you, Dan, for one, and thank all you guys, for being there. It's awesome. Awesome shit. And that's what I mean about awesome and getting better, guys. I'm awesome compared to where I was and always trying to improve. So, and getting better.
Huh.
And that's right, Josh.
I think YouTube now thinks that I'm suicidal tonight because I've searched suicide so many times. And it stopped showing me stuff on suicide now. Just interesting, but I understand because the first time I searched it, it was like, are you suicidal? Please call this number. And I press continue if you search suicide on some social medias.
Well,
And
it's kind of,
Facebook does the same thing. If I search suicide, it brings me up to a page and I have to press continue.
well, it's kind of cool that they're concerned. I like that. But if they stop you from searching stuff, what if you're searching for suicide recovery?
Right.
You know,
Now that it says the eight tips for dealing with suicidal thoughts is not showing up now, but this thing that says you're not alone, 988 suicide and crisis lifeline is available 24 hours. That's what it shows.
huh?
But it shows other videos, but that one I was watching earlier and now it won't play it at all. KHS is coming to get you. You're going to foster parents. It's a good thing I'm 40 years old.
Department of Human Services on their way.
All right, the algorithm catches the suicide.
Code word unlive instead of suicide.
could be the way to go. But there is another way that is, as we talk about always, the dealing that is really helping people deal with suicidal thoughts, and it's that this is what ended my suicidal thoughts was magic mushrooms. And once I started taking those, the suicidal ideations went away. And I have a video that kind of explains how other people have experienced that. And the reason it eliminated it for me is because it kind of connected me to this higher feeling of that life is really important and it's beautiful. And once you connect to that, it's really hard to want to end your life. Because I think that this place is special. I see it now. And the magic mushrooms kind of awoke me to how beautiful it is, and how ugly it is as well. Because when you do that, when you do magic mushroom therapy, it shows you the positivity, but it can also show you the bad things in life a lot easier.
Hi, Karina.
It's like the yin and yang. There's darkness and light, and you have to appreciate the darkness to appreciate the light. And that mushrooms have helped me understand that as well. That is very important to understand to go through life, because even the bad things in life I know are going to teach me valuable things. So I have to be appreciative of the darkness as well as the light. Because if you think about your life, the bad things that have happened, change you more than the good things.
I was coming out of Dollar General or Family Dollar, one of those, something like that, and this little girl dropped her bag. The handle on her bag broke, and all her shit flew out. She was walking out to the car to her mom. Her mom got out of the car and come up and started walking up, and I was sitting there helping the girl, and her mom ran in and grabbed another bag. And I was sitting there talking to the girl, and she was crying. She's like, I can't believe it. I messed up. I made a mistake. And I was like, hon, I said, mistakes aren't bad as long as you can learn from them. I said, next time, just try not to put so much in one bag. I said that, you can carry 2 bags and it'll be lighter on each bag. She said, okay, that's a good idea. Thank you. I said, and she was still crying. I said, it'll be okay. I said, just learn from it. And her mom was saying, thank you, and reassuring what I was saying. And, and that's just the thing about everything, it's not a bad mistake if I can learn from a final lesson in it. Sure, bad circumstances happen, but if I can learn from it, and keep from doing it again, it'll be okay.
This was actually the video about how magic mushrooms treat depression, and this is a really short video. And I love these news stories because they're basically good segments, short stories about what I want to talk about. So we'll go through this.
Research on a treatment for depression that involves, or rather that revolves around an ingredient considered illegal for years.
CBS 2's Dr. Max Gomez says the properties in magic mushrooms could have long-lasting benefits.
M. Handshake suffers from treatment-resistant depression. Even after years of therapy and medications, he still suffers symptoms.
I was in a rut, and no matter what I tried, things did not really improve beyond a certain point.
Then in 2019, he joined a study at Johns Hopkins University School of Medicine, testing a psychedelic drug called psilocybin to treat depression. It's the same compound found in so-called magic mushrooms.
One of the curious features about these drugs, I would say it's the signature feature, is they produce experiences that have huge embedded personal meaning.
Psilocybin's medical potential was studied in the 60s until concerns about abuse stopped research. Dr. Roland Griffiths helped restart experiments and found that just 2 doses of psilocybin in a controlled environment combined with therapy reduced or even eliminated depression for most patients for up to a year after treatment.
You are able to, access thoughts and feelings.
Dr. Griffiths believes psilocybin could be an important alternative when antidepressants, which have to be taken every day, are not effective enough and have side effects.
Many people end up failing or relapsing with those compounds.
Henchek is still in therapy, but he no longer takes medications.
The texture has kind of returned to the world, and that is just an incredible experience.
Other institutions around the country, including NYU and Mount Sinai here in New York, are also testing psilocybin for depression, anxiety, and PTSD. The mushrooms may be called magic, but it's real science that's helping heal troubled minds. Dr. Max Gomez, CBS 2 News.
I like how he used the word texture, and that kind of what it did to my life. It brought texture back. Everything has meaning, and it has depth. Everything in life has a deeper meaning than it did before when I was depressed and suicidal. And I think that the mushrooms definitely help take people out of that. And I've looked at countless studies and watched people's countless stories. And that's one thing they always say, is that it took them out of that rut of suicidal ideation. So I think this is the future treatment for suicide that will rock the world someday when it's available to everybody. Because I always think about when a friend commits suicide or somebody I know, and I just think to myself, I'm like, what would have happened if they would have gotten this compound? Could it have saved their life? And I think that in a lot of cases it would have.
And and that's having that meaning and purpose in life. That's one of the things that helped me is, when I was drinking, I didn't have no meaning and purpose. I just, to get drink and get drunk, and put that mask on. But, being part of my life now, I have what there's different, I've said it before, a difference between spirituality and religion. Spirituality for me is what gives me meaning and purpose in life. Now, religion might be part of that in some way, but for me, it's nature, family, good friends, helping others. Those are the meaning and purpose, the things that give me meaning and purpose in life. And being able to find something like that, guys, is really important. Sometimes it's hard, but, it might even just be, you might be a voice, of recovery. That is very important. Some people can't do service, but they can tell their story. Because somewhere down the line, our experiences, no matter how far down the line we've gone, our experiences can help others.
That's actually why I thought that was a spammer at first, but it's actually a real comment. That just cut it off there. But Colorado, actually, they have a tourism. They think that's going to be a $1 billion industry for psychedelic therapy, that people are coming to Colorado to use psychedelics for healing suicidal thoughts, PTSD, and that they're adding $1 billion per year to their economy based on these people coming to their state. And that's the reason I believe that Colorado really legalized was that number, $1 billion coming into their economy for people who are coming in for psychedelic treatment. But that's a lot. That's a big number, because there's a lot of people seeking this psychedelic treatment, and they'll travel across the country to a legal state and stay a few nights, consume the product, and then go back home with a different mindset.
I will, Ted, whenever I just haven't figured out where I want it. or had the money to get one yet. That's something I could probably do myself. No, I'm kidding.
What, a tattoo?
Yeah, a semicolon tattoo. I did that one myself. That's supposed to be a Taurus symbol, but I was drunk and long story. It's funny. I also have a dot on my ankle because when I was doing this, I started talking with my hands and dang it, shit.
Yeah, I think that the fact that I was not spiritual before I did psychedelics, I did that. I think that having that feeling of feeling connected to something bigger than myself, looking up at the night sky, and understanding and feeling that really helped me not be suicidal. Because I go sit out at night and I look at the stars and I think about that. I'm like, man, what the hell is this place? Why am I here? That I still seek that answer, and I'll live the rest of my life trying to find the answer to that, as we all do.
Well, I do believe, brother, we're doing what we were called to do. I remember one time, that first nonprofit I said I was working for, the lady, she said, "Bruce, I want you to be the vice president of this organization." I said, I just laughed. She goes, "What's so funny?" I said, "I've never been vice." I said, "I ran for senior class president and lost by 1 vote. But, that's because I had long hair and long story. But, I said, "I'm not qualified to do that." She says, "God don't call the qualified, he qualifies the called." So, all right, well, whatever, I wasn't, into it back then. But, it made sense to me, that, I was there for a calling, and I dedicated my life to love and service, and that's what that was, and that opportunity had presented itself. So I went with it, and I learned a lot. And I never regret making that decision to take that position. I did. I learned a lot. It's that's what's great about it.
I say it every day. I say it every day that magic mushrooms saved my life. If I wouldn't have had magic mushrooms, I think I would have eventually taken my own life. Because I didn't have a future. I literally thought like, the best part of my life's over, and eventually this illness is just going to kill me. And I didn't really have future plans. And magic mushrooms, gave me future plans. Now I want to live to an old age and live life instead of not seeing past the age of 40 like I used to.
Right.
It sucks. That's why the suicide rates, happen between 25 and 45 the most, because a lot of times we go through the best times of our life in our early to mid 20s, and then it calms down. Our friends have kids, they get married, we see them less, and we have less social interactions, and eventually it leads to a lot more loneliness as we go through our 30s, and we kind of lose our purpose in life when we have feel lonely. Yeah. And a lot of people, but especially between the ages of 35 to 45, those are the biggest other rates of people who commit suicide in our country. And it's because of all those reasons, as I listed about, those are the ages when social interactions seem to decrease the most. It happened when I was 26. I noticed when I was 26 that a lot of my social interactions started to decrease because my friends stopped drinking, or they either got married, had kids, and you just stop seeing them less. So your social circle starts to get smaller and smaller every year. You age into your 30s, and then eventually your 40s, you're like, what happened to everybody that was in my 20s?
Yeah, everybody, I didn't have any kids. I was still that partier. So all my friends, got married and had kids and stuff like that. And then I was like, damn, where's everybody at? And I kind of felt left out.
Then we had that episode last week about loneliness, and that loneliness is the driving reason to suicide, because it's such a debilitating feeling to feel a deep loneliness, and a lot of people are taking their lives because of it. And we seem more connected than ever, but we're all more disconnected at a social level.
Right. It's your dog trying to steal your Chinese food.
Well, Chinese food sounds good.
Yeah, I was going to make a Chinese cat and dog joke, but I won't.
Yeah, Ted, all it takes is... Oh, sorry.
Oh.
One reason to live. Pick one of 1,000. Yeah. I'm not really sure what my reason was. I think it was just the fact that I woke up to the real world and I stopped living in this narrow-minded mindset, and the whole view of everything just opened up. Because that's what a mental illness is. You're just stuck like this. You got blinders on, and you can only see a straightforward path, and you don't realize there's 30 other paths. You know,
Yeah.
suicide is not the only path. There's other ways. There's other life, you know.
And guys, I want to give you another analogy. I don't know if I did a couple weeks ago, but I love this analogy. You know, staying in that complacent spot, you know, going down that same old path, it's beaten down. It's easy to go down that road. It's, you know, it's comfortable. Then over here, you got this recovery path, you know, and it's got tall weeds and it's fucking, you got briars and all that stuff, you know. But, you know, if you start going down that other path, the more you go down that path, the more it gets beaten down, and that path gets easier as you go and easier. And this one over here, it starts growing up and getting them weeds and them briars, and it starts getting old, you know. So it's just taking them initial steps, you know, trying to find just a little ounce of meaning and purpose in life, you know. Even if it's just to see, you know, another week, you know, or whatever it means, to go outside and smell the roses one more time. Just, you know, feel free to reach out to me anytime. Dan's the same way, you know. Message me. I'll give you my phone number. I have no problem with that. But, you know, don't hide it, guys. It's we want you here. You know, it's suicide is a very serious topic, and it's taken a lot of people. I just want people to know you're not alone, and you can reach out.
And I do sell a lot of good medication that helps with depression, anxiety, but I also, if somebody can't afford it and they're in a bad place, I will give it to them for free. And I've done that plenty of times. So anybody out there, you know, struggling financially and mentally, you know, just shoot me a message, because I also make stuff that can help actual, you know, neurological effects in your brain. So not only just talking about it, but actually helping you in that sort of manner. And I had a friend who was having issues like that like up last year, and I gave her some free CBD, CBG. It helped her come out of her ruts. You know, 'cause she had enough consistent days where she wasn't feeling depressed and anxious, where she could, you know, you just need a consistent amount of days to help you really get out of a rut.
Sure.
That's really how you do it, you know.
If that's what gives you meaning and purpose, keeps you alive, Leslie, fucking right. You know, that's what I mean. You know, everybody's different. You know, meaning and purpose for me, a lot of times, is getting on here, helping out, talking to you guys. You know, and that's part of that helping part. You know, I don't go to work a lot. You know, I do my normal running and stuff, my doctor's appointments, but you know, I'm peaceful with just me and my wife here. You know, we don't have kids. We got our dog. We put one down about a week ago, but you know, that's just we're happy, we're content, and each other, we have our meaning and purpose in each other. You know, so you know, if that's what gives you meaning and purpose, Leslie, you know, be at peace and serenity and connect with that universe, brother. You do you, boo boo, as they say.
I think watching the stars from another country or another location is always something that astounds me. That's something I love doing. And I went to El Salvador 10 years ago, and I got to watch the stars from that country, and that was an experience that always stuck with me.
You're welcome, Janny. Thanks for being here.
He said something about winter. Winter is harder, and I actually thought that too until it was 2021. I shared this story because it was so interesting. I took like a medium sized dose of mushrooms. And I walked about 8 blocks, and it had snowed 6 inches of snow that night, or a couple hours before that. And we had like a really hard frost, so like all the branches were covered in ice, and then we had 6 inches of snow on the ground. I walked around this park for like 4 hours. It was like 28 degrees, and it was the most beautiful experience I ever had with dealing with snow. And that's when I like knew that how special winter is. I'm like, now I'm a lot more appreciative. I actually see the beauty in it. It doesn't depress me as much. But that night it was so magical. I couldn't leave the park because I was so astounded by how beautiful the snow and the ice and the trees were. And that experience was a powerful experience on psychedelics that changed my life. That night definitely did. So that's why it's always interesting to do psychedelics and then go out into nature. So it really can have profound experiences on small to medium doses if you're in the right environment.
Right. She says because I have poop. She meant to say poop. Hey Ty, what's up, buddy?
Yeah, I think that's why psychedelic therapy in the future will help you see the beauty in nature in the winter, and it really helped me see it because I didn't see it before that. You know, winter definitely depressed me, but after having experiences with psychedelics in the snow, it really made me appreciate how amazing this planet is. That we as far as we know, there's no other place in the universe that produces snow, and produces these snowflakes that every single snowflake is different than the next. It's just if you think about it, it really is a magical experience.
Yeah. And you know what? That's one of the things I haven't looked at right on. Is the beauty of it. You know what? I'm hoping this summer or this winter, because I wasn't having seasonal depression for a while. You know, and of course I went in my slump, and then that's what happens. I wasn't taking care of myself, so I went back and reverted back to what was comfortable, to that old path.
Right.
And I was having them seasonal depressions for the past couple of years, and this year I'm just, I'm hoping or not hoping, I know I'm going to go into it with a different attitude because I have a different outlook on life again. I want to be active again. I'm tired of being in my depression.
I was actually going to share the pictures from that night in the snow. This is some pictures I took because I meditated in the snow, and I took this crystal with me, and I have these light things that you can put underneath the crystal. So I put the light underneath the crystal in the snow, and that's what it looked like. It was actually a really amazing experience, and these are all the pictures I took.
Cool.
So you can see there's fresh snow. I think it was more like 4 inches of snow, 4 to 5, and we had there was a lot of ice in the trees. You can see the ice, but when you're on a psychedelic, it looks so much more beautiful than just the picture.
Oh yeah, I bet.
And you can see I actually had a little spot I had set up. Well, if I find it right here where I was kind of meditating, I brought these battery lights that I set up and sat in the park by myself for about 30 or 40 minutes, and then I walked around these trails we have in these woods. And
nice.
I knew nobody else was going to be out there. It was 28 degrees, I was the only crazy one out to be out there, but I was actually really warm.
Hey, I'll be right back. I got to check on my notes.
That's fine. But I think when you have experiences like this, you can really appreciate life a lot more, especially on a psychedelic. On a medium dose, I wasn't even on a big dose. This was, I think, 2 grams of a pretty strong one. And I got to experience meditate in the snow and then just feel the snow and the ice. And I think that is a really profound experience for everybody to have to really appreciate winter like I do now. And this was a full moon as well. So this was a full moon night. You can see the stars there, and we had those pictures of the full moon. So that's why I was out in the park, and that's actually what I was going to use as an excuse if I got the police came or the park rangers. Was like, hey, it's a full moon, because I had my serious phone and my GoPro, and I was trying to take professional pictures. So I usually do that when I have the full moons. I like going out, and then we have a full moon again this week, so I'll probably maybe walk down to that park and do a little meditating. But yeah, that was an awesome night. And I think that, where's that picture of the crystal? Because that, I always think that's, you can see the crystal just floating there. And I think it's a pretty picture. We can zoom in on that. But that's my my crystal here. I actually have it. I thought I had it here, maybe not. I thought it was in the shelf behind me, but I don't see it. Huh. Well, it's somewhere in my house. But I still have this crystal. It actually has all the 7 chakras crystals on it inside of a thing. It's pretty cool looking. I honestly think it's in here behind me somewhere. I'm just not seeing it. I'm just blind right now. But I keep the stuff around my house. I kind of have, these are like, I call them power crystals. If you get a crystal that you have for a long time, and this is a crystal that I've had a lot of psychedelic experiences with, it kind of becomes a power object to where if I actually see it, visualize it, it's in the same area as me. It has profound effects on my mental health, because the science shows that when you see an object that you had these experiences with, it changes the neurons in your brain. So I call them power objects because they have that a power grab to you. And there's actually a lot of studies that have proven that if you have an item that you do psychedelics with, it could become a power object and have the same effects without having to do the psychedelic. So that's why I kind of meditate with this crystal. And it's an important crystal to me, the visual part of the crystal, because it helps me heal. It helps me feel better about myself. And helps me connect to a spiritual and mystical world that we all need to connect to. But a lot of people don't realize that power objects, and I actually had an episode 2 of the Rumination Project, how to heal the mind with magic mushrooms. I talk about power objects in that podcast and the effects that power objects have in psychedelic experiences. So it's another thing important to have is, Ross says, so I was telling them, is to have a power object. This is my power object, this crystal that I have. You're on mute too, if you didn't know. No.
There we go. I had it on over there and it went loud.
But if you ever do psychedelics, you can use some kind of item that has a good visual effect. I use a crystal because they're beautiful, and this actually has all 7 chakra crystals inside of an acrylic pyramid. Not cool. Crystals, but all 7 chakra rocks. So it's layered each rock. And the science shows if you trip with something with an object, it can kind of connect to your neurons, so that if you ever see the object again, it can affect your neurons without actually having to do the psychedelic, because it actually affects your visual cortex, which then affects this other portion of your brain. And it actually shows it can release like dopamine and other chemicals just from looking at the object, because the brain kind of feels like it's going through that experience again. And I've actually had that happen. I can meditate and feel like I took a psychedelic now, and it can be very meditating and medicating as I meditate. And that's the great thing that magic mushrooms have taught me. They taught me how to meditate and how to release that dopamine and those chemicals that I need sometimes,
See, that's where I took a wrong turn back in the day. I was trying, I knew it helped, and I was trying to I thought you had to get to a different plane, and I was trying to get to that different plane, but it wasn't in that. It was about 1 hero dose and followed by microdosing and using intention and stuff. So I'm learning a lot about psychedelics, Hi, Holly. And it's really amazing. It's really amazing. Now I'm wanting to learn more about, like I said, the holistic part of it, the chakras and stuff, and little by slowly. You know, if I gotta pace myself because I don't want to burn myself out again.
Right.
Which I'm not working in that field, so I don't see that happening. That's what was burning me out.
It's already working. I saw the picture of my crystal, and I was having memories flood my brain of all the awesome experiences I had with that crystal and these psychedelic trips. You know, profound experiences.
And that's awesome the way that works. You know, that's one of the things I did experiment with whenever I was doing a lot of psychedelics. I would have an experience, and then I would, you know, have a memory recall of by seeing that object or doing that same experience or something like that, you know, and it was really, really cool. There's a different name of it. Memory recall is what I'm comes to mind, but there's a term for it.
I don't know where the crystal is. It disappeared in my house. It should be on the table. It's right there in front of me. That was right there in front of me the whole time. I was sitting on the table. It's camouflaged with my other chakra stones because it's so. Well, this is it right here. You can see the layers of chakra stones. They kind of pulverized. It's really pretty.
That is cool.
And they make all kinds of pyramids you can buy on Amazon. I'd love to have a dozen of them, but they're about $25 a piece. And you can see the little copper coil there. So it does have a little copper in it to help you vibrate, you know, because copper has meditating frequencies to it, as well as the stones. There's a lot of research on the stones. So sometimes I even place it on my heart or my chest when I do a psychedelic and I'm meditating. And
guys, that hashtag is for 25% off at Dan's website for $25 off this product.
And we'll probably I'm trying to bring that screen up.
Facebook user, we couldn't see your name. I'm not sure who that is, but please come back. You know, we welcome anybody to come back and see us. We do have a Thursday night show also at 6:30 or at 6 o'clock.
And we got 13 people. I didn't expect a lot of people in here because to give away, because again, you have to. It's 25% off, so you will have to purchase a product, but you're going to save some money. So just be aware of that. That it's not giving something free away tonight. Although, yeah, but you can get some good lines, man. I have some herbal products on there. I have some soups. But the herbal products are really what I promote a lot of, and they really help good with mental health. Just the lion's mane is a product to add to your life. And the CBD, CBG will just add everything else. It just regulates your body really well. It helps you get good sleep. Something that I need to work on more of this, but I need to buy another alarm clock so I can not sleep with the phone in my room. But I have an alarm clock that makes a really annoying noise, and I don't want to wake up to that. So sleeping with my phone in my room is something I need to stop doing, and that's my next mental health thing I need to eliminate. That helps for my mental health, because sleeping with your phone can make you lose sleep, and can also cause anxiety while you're sleeping.
I believe that.
I do ship the soup. I'm working on the price, Ted. I'm thinking. I went to UPS once, and they wanted $15, but the United States Postal Service, it should be cheaper. But yeah, you do have to kind of pay for the shipping, which is more than the actual item, though. But if you buy multiple products, I'm trying to see how I can discount the shipping, because usually if you obviously box up more items, the shipping should go down.
And if you get some of them priority boxes, it's or not priority. Is it priority? They have the basic rate boxes sometimes.
What can cause a lot of anxiety? Did I miss something?
Yeah, I didn't.
Maybe a comment I made.
Oh,
maybe not sleeping can cause a lot of anxiety. Well, the best thing I say to people who have insomnia is CBD, and like CBD works great. You're gonna wake up with sometimes a little hangover if you have to take a lot, but it's great sleep. You sleep really well, and I think people need to look more into straight CBD. I have still CBD, CBG as well, which is a great medicine to take during the day. But CBD works with the body. It works with the natural systems in the body, and that's why it helps you sleep so well. And unlike the other stuff on the market, like what's the well-known product to help you sleep that I can't remember the name of? Remember, Rasta?
What'd you say again? Sorry, I was reading the comments.
A known product that helps you sleep.
Melatonin.
Melatonin.
But I hear it's not good for you. Rose, what'd you say melatonin did?
It's not good for long-term use. It's only supposed to be used for short times, to help you sleep. But a lot of people are using it for long-term use. That's not what it's good for.
I was for a while, but I quit. And I was going to start again, but then I think Rose said something.
Yeah, it can be dangerous if you take it long-term. That's why CBD works. You can take it long-term. There's no side effects. It works with your body. I mean, the only thing that you might get if you take too much CBD is a headache, and that's usually when you know you've taken too much, is you may get a slight headache.
That's the way I take it, Karina.
But if you do get a headache, you just got to back off the dosage a little bit, and you find your sweet spot where you don't have a headache.
Right. Yeah, that's the way I take it, Karina. I don't know.
Yeah.
Seems to be working fine. It helps me sleep through the night. I don't wake up as much as I used to. It's hard for me to go to sleep, but that's just my squirrels and my anxiety of, did I get everything done I was supposed to do? Can't wait till tomorrow. I got to do it now.
Right. But I think we probably got the amount of people we're going to have in the giveaway. We got 14.
Yeah.
We'll give this giveaway going.
Good luck, everybody.
Ted eats the gummies. Yeah, that's Brenda Brailer. Congratulations.
Brenda Brailer.
It's good to be aware that CBD can help you sleep if you need as needed. So if you want to sleep well one night, just add some CBD to your diet.
Right on. Congratulations, Brenda.
Congratulations. And just shoot me a message. You don't have to be here. I don't require winners to be here because everybody's got a busy life. I don't expect you to sit here for 2 hours.
Right.
But I'd like to get this. I have these giveaways because I love to get these products out in more people's hands at affordable prices. And you guys can see that Great River Mushrooms has great products that'll help you for your brain and health and your body.
And you guys, yeah, she's there. And you guys can subscribe to that website too, so you can get I don't know what that does.
I saw that. I need to work on that. I may have a newsletter. I actually saw that it is capable of doing that, but I did take it off. But I may add it back on eventually and have subscription newsletter.
Cool.
And maybe you can add that when people check out. I'm still trying to learn how to do the website. So there'll be changes as the week goes on. And I'm going to have a kickoff when the website's all done and actually have a live and give out a bunch of stuff. Which we'll probably do next week sometime. We'll have a live giveaway and give out some stuff to kick off the website.
Is that Terry, Brenda, in that picture with you? You guys look happy. Ooh.
I'm not familiar with that medication.
I am.
Yes, I have Cash App, Venmo, and PayPal. I take all three of those if anybody wants to pay like that. What's that?
That antitryptamine, some badass shit. It'll fuck you up.
Yeah.
Make you walk backwards. No, I don't know.
So if you want to look at my website and then actually order as well, don't have to order through my website because there's a fee if you use your debit card, as in Venmo and Cash App are both free apps, so you can avoid. And I'm trying to integrate that more. I have to talk to somebody who has a page that has Venmo integrated in it. So I'll learn how to do that, where you can actually use Venmo at checkout. I do not, but I actually will. Now that I have a website, it's kind of changed my view of how I make my products, because I used to make a lot of products, but I didn't really have a market to sell them to. I made THC gummies for probably a year, and then it just got boring because I have bipolar. So if you tend to do things for a while, it gets boring in my brain, and I kind of move on to other things. And
that's why I loved being a union worker, because we work 6-8 weeks, we get laid off for a couple weeks, work another, it was on and off, and I wasn't in one job the whole time.
And the other thing that turned me away from the gummies was that they have red dye in them. So I needed to find a better substitute that was dye free, and I don't know if I ever did. But once I saw that they had red dye in them, a lot of these THC gummies that people are making, I'm like, well, there's no point. You're basically consuming something that's good for your body with something that's bad for your body in it as well. So
I'll talk to somebody for you. I might be able to find that out for you, a substitute for red dye.
A lot of them they can make seafood or seaweed. So there's different colors of seaweed, and apparently if you dry it out, you can use it as a dye, but it's a really expensive process to do. So if those products cost like 4 times as much.
I got a friend that does a lot of cooking with cannabis, and I'll ask her to see.
Yeah, there are a few companies that make dye-free products that you can use, but Jello has red dye, a lot of red dye in it. Any Jello brand. And yeah, I'll direct message you, Ted. That's fine. It's right there at the bottom too, so it's pretty easy to remember as well. So I gotta take that banner off here.
5 pounds at a time. Damn, Ted. Well, I guess that ain't much when the gummies add up, don't they?
They're pretty hefty.
They get weightful.
I probably have like a couple $100 in mold too, because I buy the silicone molds. I can make all kinds of different stuff. I used to make soaps and candles, and
we have a couple silicones we use too.
Because I did want to get into soap making, and I still have all the ingredients, but I never just. I did I made a couple products, but I never really sold them. So I made THC soap once. But I needed to add Dove's secret weapon, was this citric acid. So I kind of customized the product with THC. I wanted to make a soap that was like as soft as Dove, but had THC in it. But more experimentation is needed.
Right.
But I did find Dove's secret weapon, and it's apparently citric acid. So I bought a bag of it, and I still have it. I still have tons of ingredients to make stuff like that, but I never finished doing it. But a lot of people don't know that Dove's secret weapon to how to make their stuff so soft is their citric acid they add to it. Gummies, that is a lot of gummies. 5 pounds. Ted, are these dye free? There you go. Put that all out on the websites or all the links. Again, that's the price of as well as Facebook Messenger too. You can always message one of us. That's a great, if you're ever in trouble, I always found that reaching out to a friend and helped a lot.
Absolutely. And if for some reason, guys, if, and this is for me, because I get busy with stuff and I get squirrels, and if I pick my phone up and I see something that says, hey, how you doing? I might set it down for a couple minutes and finish what I'm doing. But if you put on there 911, I'll drop what I'm doing and I'll pick that phone up and we'll talk right then. Otherwise, it might take a minute to finish what I'm doing. But if it's at that line, because I don't know who's all where. Once I get to know you guys a little bit more, I'll know who's more in a critical spot. You know, more needs a little more TLC, so to speak. You know,
Right.
so yeah, just put on there 911. If you need to talk right now, put 911 on. Drop what I'm doing. I'll get out of my whatever. No, I'll get back a hold of you right then. Yeah, we got some pretty cool molds. We make chocolates from time to time, and we have some molds for those. They're silicone.
Right.
That I love that silicone. It's nice. Pops
So next
right
time, I also learned next time I need to move the website link up so we can put a banner on the bottom and not interfere with it.
Yeah.
I need to bring the Rumination project down below the live so we can see that too. And I was trying to think of a cool name to call us, but the crew sounds good. For our overlay here we have here. So this is the first time I ever did that. Put some information in the background instead of just having the logo.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I'll have to try that. You'll have to teach me how to do some of these things because I am clueless.
I was kind of clueless too. I was using my Canvas app and that maybe I need to put you in there because it allows me to put other people and then you can see how the Canvas app works. It's an amazing app that makes all kinds of cool artwork and it has already pre-cut custom layouts in there.
Oh, cool.
What's going on?
Hey, Josh.
But it's actually expensive if you just share it with one person, but if you split it, it's actually a lot cheaper because it's $15 a month. But it's worth it because the things it does for all my businesses, I wouldn't be able to do half the stuff that I put on my Facebook or advertisements or my printouts. I actually make printouts that I put at my farmers markets with the app.
Well, when I get eventually when I get my recovery website up, I'd be interested in that for sure. That and I gotta get a little income coming in.
Yeah, I get it. I understand. But we'll probably be approaching the end of our podcast tonight. We're probably going to load a bowl here. Chat a little more, and then
What I just did.
hit the garden, as I say, because I got stuff to do in my garden tonight, and I'm actually starving. Somebody had to mention Chinese.
See, I don't care for Chinese. I like crab ragoon and egg rolls. That's about it.
Well, we have a drive-through Chinese place. It's more like it's more like Asian food than Chinese, but I can't remember the name. Panda Express, yeah.
Oh, okay. We got one of those around here.
But I think it closes at 9, so I don't think they're open anymore. But maybe they are. If they're open till 10, I'm hitting the drive-through.
You never know. Ted says the cool kids crew.
Plus, I was really hungry. I mean, you eat that. Go to the drive-through at Panda Express. You can easily eat 1,000 calories. That's what I need.
Excuse me.
Because whatever I ate yesterday didn't sit well. I think I ate too much gluten, and that's why I felt like crap today. And I ordered a pizza from Domino's and some pasta, and I think I consumed way too much gluten. And then my brain reacts. My brain does not like that amount of gluten.
I ate some Wendy's restaurant today. First time I've ate fast food in a while. So I'm sure I'll feel that tomorrow. I had a strawberry frosty for the first time. Because Wendy's had them chocolate frosties. They got the strawberry now. It tastes pretty good.
Lost Cat's Chinese food. Is that a place in
Lost Cat, no check.
What is that in reference to something?
Yeah, Chinese. They say Chinese people use cat and dog in their food.
Oh, okay. These just
kind of what somebody said earlier about their dog was trying to steal their Chinese food, and I said it's probably because it had cat in it. I didn't say that, but I did.
One of the things I stopped going to was Chinese buffets. I got really sick at one. I think I had to be there. I got really ill after eating there, and Now that I think about them, they're kind of disgusting. Chinese buffets. Because people are disgusting, man. The people that go out in public are just, some of them are just nasty and
They are.
full of germs, and it just amazes me that some people just don't take care of themselves at all, or just bathe, or wash their hands.
Yeah.
Just wash your hands, damn it. That easy, people.
Cheers, y'all.
Yeah, cheers. Got a bowl too.
Thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate everybody sharing their stories and and their experiences with us. It's what we're here for, to make a safe place that we can all talk about this and learn some things about different topics on mental health and different diagnoses, and we'll revisit this suicide thing again, because it's not something that, can be laid aside. Every once in a while we'll do a show on it to show awareness. And of course, we're always there to talk about it because it pops up in almost every mental health subject there is. So it will pop up from here to there. But thank you guys for being here for us, first of all. And just remember, guys, try to find a little ounce of meaning and purpose in life, and be gentle with yourself on the way. That's all we can do is just take it little by slowly, one day at a time, and be gentle with ourselves along the way, and be active in our own recovery.
Yeah, actually, I posted 6 days ago. I posted something about suicide, and I just wanted to read some of the things I said. And I basically said, I know there are people reading this as well who are contemplating taking their own lives, who are very lonely, who feel isolated, who feel unimportant, who already feel dead. But I'm here to remind you, you are loved, you are important, you are not alone, and you are beautiful. Do not let the poison of the mind defeat you. You are stronger than you think. Do not forget the energy that went into creating you. Millions of years of creation and destruction just to create you. And as far as we know, no other person exists in the vastness of the universe. You are special, you are unique, and you still have a lot of living to do. And I think those are, when you think about that, how long it took you just to create you, that you're that special, that the world, the universe took millions of years of destruction and making this vast world that we know just to create you. And that's pretty special. I think that that should make you feel really unique. And if you think of it like that, it's all because how you feel is really about perspective. And when you put it in a different perspective like that, it can make you really appreciate how special you are.
Amen. Hi, Becca. How are you doing, hon?
And that's appreciating their experience in the dark myself really helped me write that. I remember writing that a year ago. I actually sat down and wrote that myself, and then I reshared it this year. But you have to really appreciate the darkness and those dark moments to really appreciate the light. And I've been in the darkness. I've attempted suicide myself at 16 and almost did again 4 years ago. And now I appreciate the darkness and the light, and you have to appreciate them both.
Absolutely. Thanks for sharing, Dan.
For sure. And everybody, thanks for sharing their stories as well tonight. And we even shared a few tears tonight. And that's when you share a few tears, that's when healing happens. And I think we were talking about vulnerability tonight, and just saying I'm not okay is the first step to being okay, because you became vulnerable enough to say that, and that's a huge step.
It is very huge.
So it's important to do. I know that people are struggling out there because I feel it myself. Feel people struggling. So just remember you're important, you're loved, and you're really special. And I think you have to remember that.
You're very worthy, all of you.
Yep.
By fear.
No matter what age you are, you're worthy. Whether you're 20, 40, or 50, or 60, you all still have a place in this world. And we're all here for a reason.
Amen, Leslie. Smiles are good, brother.
Much love to you, Leslie, too. Yeah, I probably didn't smile as much as I usually do tonight, but I did. It's a uncomfortable thing for me to talk about suicide, just for the fact that I've gone through it myself. And it's not as easy for me to talk about it as it is other subjects. So I don't think I'm completely all the way to the point where I'm, completely vulnerable. There's still things that I don't like talking about,
Sure. And that's okay.
Right.
Absolutely.
But yeah, we all have a purpose.
Absolutely, Josh.
So with that, we're probably going to call tonight, and we'll see you guys back on Thursday with the Ruminating Gardener. And we'll have some giveaways that night too. So stay tuned for that. And Ross, you got anything else you wanted to say?
Yeah, guys, just remember, recovery is possible and it has no limits. Be gentle with yourself along the way.
For sure. And as always, as the top corner says there, don't forget to love yourself. Don't forget to forgive yourself. And with that, anything is possible. So as always, guys, we appreciate you joining us, and we'll catch you later.